Hey everybody, this is Eddy Dacius. We have a great show for you today. This episode is brought to you by Dacius Facilities Management. Dacius Facility Management, they will manage your property with a variety of services. We have a great guest. Her name is Claudergine Aspilaire. Claudergine will be with us. And let's start with the show, Eddy Dacius Divine Purpose Podcast.
Welcome to the Divine Purpose Podcast, where we transport you along one of the more dynamic journeys of life. Have you ever been curious to know what it takes to become a successful leader? Or about knowing the secrets of life through the Bible? How about engaging in conversation where no topics are off limits? We will take you to new levels with guests who can help you grasp the importance of your calling. Now, here's your host, Eddy Dacius, founder of Dacius Facilities Management.
Yes, we are back. This is Eddy Dacius with Claudergine Aspilaire. Claudergine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for being here with us. We're excited to have you. And one way we like to start the show is what can you tell us about you?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank you for having me. It is definitely an honor. And what I can tell you about me, well, I am a first generation Haitian born in the US, but was raised in Haiti for 15 years. I am the youngest of three siblings. Uh,
Wow.
I attended Suffolk University for my undergraduate degree in business administration and global business. And I've recently earned my master's in gender and cultural studies at Simmons University. I am passionate about elevating and advocating for women of color. And lastly, I'm a professional salsa dancer and an avid lover of Afro diasporic dances.
Wow. Quite a lot. You're a busy woman. So how are you doing?
Indeed, I am doing well by the grace of God.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So like you said you have your masters, right?
Yes,
Wow, that's exciting and congratulations on
thank
that.
you, thank
So
you.
so what can you tell us when you said you from Haiti? Can you tell us about your transition coming here?
Yes, absolutely. So I moved to Massachusetts about 12 years ago, and I moved after the devastating earthquake that happened in 2010. And as you can imagine, that
Wow.
totally
Really?
changed. Yes.
I'm a survivor of the earthquake too.
Wow, you do have
Yeah.
that in common.
Yeah.
So you can totally relate with me as to the change being so drastic. It's like
Yes.
everything came 360 for me. Now, all of a sudden, I went from being in an all girl Catholic school in Haiti to being in a public school at Malden and having to adjust with that. Um,
Yes.
so, really learning to see myself outside of that setting was challenging for sure.
Yeah.
I was only used to just being in one setting. So then now I am in a melting pot. That was
Wow.
possible. And how do I adapt? How do I stand out? And I'm one that is pretty quiet and reserved. So it took me some time to kind of get out of my shell. And what I used to get out of my shell in high school was getting involved um, with the Hispanic club at Malden High School. I
Wow.
moved in dancing into that. I performed, my first performance was at Junior Varieties. So that's how
Mm.
I learned how to make different friends around high school. And I was also in sports. I played volleyball. So I was
Okay.
immediately involved with that the first semester that I got into high school. So that really helped me build my social circle. And I've tried to make the best out of the short 3 years that I've had there. I've also meant to mention I did graduate early from high school.
Wow. Wow. Whoa. Whoa.
How do we do this fast? This O'Connor, that was
Oh,
my.
how's that possible, huh?
It was possible through dual enrollment. So what
Okay.
I did, I enrolled in community college. So I took 2 classes there. So then I would meet all of my requirements to graduate, and well, not on time, but early.
Early. Okay.
That allowed me to graduate in 2012 instead of graduating in 2013.
Wow. So, what did you know about the dual enrollment?
I asked. I did not
Mm.
know about it. So I just went to my counselor one day and I'm like, hey, how do I finish this early?
So
Is there
why did you want it to finish early?
I
What
wanted
was
to
the?
finish early because um maybe you can relate to this, but being in Haiti, you are used to a certain type of student, and most of the students I would say are more on the mature side.
Yes.
Um, and coming to high school in the US was a culture shock for me because I was seeing things that I would never dream of seeing in
Yeah.
Haiti.
I got
I'm
you.
like, wait, people really do that? So my thought process was, if I can finish this early, then I will be out of that environment and I will be with people that are more mature, so to say, in college.
Wow.
That was not the truth. But I'm still glad that I finished early because it really allowed me to pursue different things that I wanted to. So it worked out. But that was my rationale at the time.
Wow. 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 That was great. That was great. Thank you for sharing. So let's go quickly in your transition. So most people guess we have here. They said, and you mentioned it. It was a culture shock for you when you first come. It came here. So can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So when I say it was a culture shock, it was more so finding my identity. And I think that's
Hmm.
something we don't really talk about in the Haitian community,
Wow.
especially when coming here. And this is just me coming to figure this out with having done my master's and really pinpointing what was the challenge.
Okay.
I knew, I sensed that things didn't feel right to me, but now I have more words to put it into perspective. So, to go back to what I was saying in terms of this being my identity, is that when you are coming from Haiti, you are in a majority Black country. You
Yes.
see yourself everywhere.
Yeah.
And now I'm being dropped into a high school, yes, diverse, but yet I didn't see much of myself when I decided I wanted to be in all honors class. I wanted to be in AP classes. I
Hmm.
was or one of the few Black girls in my classes. So that not being able to see myself in the classroom or in my teachers really did something to my identity where I've came to question myself a lot. Am I supposed to be here? Am
Hmm.
I capable of achieving? Even though, in Haitian culture, education is everything, right?
Yeah. Everything.
I
Yeah.
knew that I needed to excel in everything that I did. But because I was in that environment, it brought me to question myself a lot. I would not be the one to participate a lot in classes because I would undermine um, what I had to say, just
Hmm.
for the fact of not really seeing myself around that much, and that carried me throughout my years in undergrad as well, because I went to a predominantly white institution, which is
Yeah.
Simmons University, where I didn't really see myself, and those feelings just sit in, and I just accepted that. Well, I'm just not going to see myself
Yeah.
here,
I agree.
and just kind of accept that as my identity. But then, wow, when I started my master's and I started learning about my identity, and very key class that I took was dynamic of racism and oppression, and
Hmm.
learning about the different types of oppression, the different types of racism, and how some comments can be seen as microaggressions. These are things that
Wow.
I really didn't know. It's like I went through. high school, I went through college, and I never knew about. It's like I lived in a bubble.
Yeah.
Then I got that bubble burst when I took that class, and it was right in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement. So everything was relevant, and
Yes.
when I'm having all of these aha moments, I'm like, whoa, whoa, oh my god, that's why I felt like that in high school. That's why I felt like that in college, and I had the ability to reclaim my identity and stand strong in who I am. Wow, that was the best moment for me because that's when I knew who Clauder was and what she stood for and what she.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing this and go deep on it. So in this podcast, we call it Embrace Your Calling, Embrace Your Purpose. When you had that wake up call, when you finally realize this is who you are, this is your purpose. So all these situations fuel your purpose or help you embrace your purpose.
I think in the way that it allowed me to embrace my purpose is to really connecting my passion.
Okay.
And I say this in the sense that I love Afro diasporic dances,
Yeah.
and salsa is one of those.
Okay.
And I have gone my whole entire, not my whole entire life, but I started dancing when I was 13.
Okay.
And I never knew that salsa was a Black dance.
Oh,
So I always had this connection with salsa. I knew how it made me feel, but I never understood why. So then my thesis was to explore the Black roots of salsa, to see what it means to me as a Black woman,
yeah.
and to see what it means for young Black girls. So
Wow.
that's how it connected me to my purpose right there, because my research has delved into that and really has seen how identity plays such a big part, and as well as history, knowing
Mm,
your history, knowing where you come from, knowing um, what you stand for really is a true marker, and combining it with dancing, which is another form of expression, is another powerful tool to be able to really stand strong into that. And it kind of led me to, all right, my calling is really to work with young women of color, and like I mentioned
wow.
before, is really to elevate and advocate for them.
Mm, wow. Woo. At the end of the day, I never thought that. That's where you're gonna take me, but I appreciate it. So let's go with what are the three most challenging event in your life so far?
Oh, three most challenging events in my life so far. Definitely the earthquake,
Yeah.
moving to the US after that and making sense of that move, and adjusting to my new life in the
Yeah.
US. And another one was stepping into the workforce.
Mm.
It was a
Woo. Tell
challenge.
me about it.
Yes. Um, Stepping into the workforce was a challenge in the sense of not seeing myself again.
Yeah, I
Uh,
understand.
I was one of the few Black girls in the company that I started work. So I started working for a educational travel company
Okay.
that catered to young travelers. So teachers would take their students on educational travel for
Yeah.
anywhere from a week to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And for a travel company, I was really expecting their knowledge in terms of culture to be very high and to just be very understanding of what it is to be a diverse place that really services everyone.
Yes.
That was not the case. Um,
Wow.
it was a lot of feeling uncomfortable in that space and trying to reclaim myself in a way. Again, I'm one that is very reserved. I share as much as I feel comfortable. And
Okay.
um, I was always perceived as one that is quiet, and my silence was perceived as I'm not engaged. But it's really me studying the place,
Okay.
really me trying to figure out where do I fit in, where is my space,
Yes.
and
Okay.
where can I speak in where can that be taken into value? So it was really a challenge in terms of assessing my place and really trying to figure out, is this what I am supposed to be doing? And it came to a point where my journey there had expired and I felt it. And um, the Lord again led me to another path that leads me to where I am now. And
Uh,
that we can talk about a little bit more after.
no, definitely, it's definitely, and I appreciate. Like I said, this is great so far because one thing I'm realizing is, and if you follow us on our podcast, it's like every guest brings something new. And your experience, yes, we kind of related to that experience in Haiti, the earthquake. But for you, the way you explain it with a lot of details and uh, knowledge, because you acknowledge your emotion and you try to make sense and give words to them. I appreciate that. So let's go with what's your favorite um childhood memory?
Ooh, that's a good one. My favorite childhood memory is going out social dancing with my family.
Wow.
As I mentioned before, I started dancing at the age of 13, and that's thanks to my dad because he's been an avid lover of salsa.
Wow.
So he passed his love on to the family, and he made sure that we all had lessons, which I hated by the time.
Yeah.
But looking back, these were the best memories to be able to just go out with the family, social dance, and just really bond. That
Okay.
was the best of times.
Wow, that's great. Great to hear. So, what was the best compliment you ever gotten?
Oh, best compliment I ever gotten. Um, that I speak from the heart. Yeah,
Mm,
I think that one always hits when people say that I speak from the heart. It warms me because it shows that I'm passionate
yeah.
and that when um, I speak with purpose and I speak with the purpose, well, um, with a goal to impact, to help. So I really like that compliment.
And I can see that too. So let's go like a 360 on now you finish high school, you get into college. I know you talk about it a little bit. So what was the transition for you?
The transition, ooh, it was a little brutal if I may be honest here because um, it's hard being a first generation. Being
Wow.
first generation in the sense that sometimes you don't get to experience what your other peers get to experience. And
Yes.
in the process of selecting Suffolk University, which by the way was not my first choice,
Okay.
I wanted to go to Bryant University um,
Wow.
because I wanted to be on campus. I wanted
Okay.
to have that experience because I've never been apart from my family ever. And you know how Haitian families
Yes.
are.
I know. I know.
There. You're pretty much there until you leave the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And my mom is like,
Definitely.
I'm not co-signing any loans for you.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't even have a credit here. What are you talking about? She's
Yeah.
like, girl, you better find a school that will pay everything for you to go to. Oh my God, I was devastated because
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
it's okay. I mean, I feel like I've had the chance to experience it in other ways, though. Um,
Okay.
and I'll speak a little bit more about that. So I decided to go to Suffolk University, and my first impression there was, oh my God, it's like right in downtown. Like it doesn't feel like I'm going far enough. But little did I know that my 4 years at Suffolk University would be one that I would cherish forever. And the reason I say this is because I at orientation, I met my college bestie, I call her. I just attended her wedding and
Wow.
became friends. And through her, she allowed me to experience a little bit of living on campus because she
Okay.
lived on campus herself. So you can already figure we were
Yeah.
always together. Literally,
Yes.
we did everything together. And I was lucky that I got to experience a little bit of what it felt to be on campus. She would
Yep.
even call my mom and say, "Can you sleep over?" And my mom is like, "We don't do sleepover here." But she was
Yeah,
able to
Haitian. Yeah, I know. But one thing, as you're talking about this, so was it? What was the dynamic of your household? Is it yesterday? All my Asian guests, same thing. The tweet L. Was it like that? They call l'église like I. Was it for you
you know,
the same?
I think when I was particularly in Haiti,
Yeah.
that was the three
Okay.
L's for me.
Okay.
L'école, l'église, la caille.
All right.
But as I transitioned to the US, my mom also came along with me, and my dad stayed back in Haiti. So that's where I experienced a little bit more of freedom in terms
Freedom. Okay.
of being able to do after school activities and not just only sticking to those three L's.
Okay.
Learning a little bit about myself as well. So I thank my mom for being a little flexible, a little.
Oh, okay. You're the lucky ones, then. So let's talk about like you mentioned you had I can describe it as a tough transition from high school and college. But my question would be, what was your dream job in high school? If it's different than the one you have in college and now.
Huh. My dream job in high school. I feel it's either to be a professional dancer or it was to be a flight attendant. It's either one or the
Okay.
other.
All right.
I can't really pinpoint what it was at that time. Um, in college, I just had a very broad idea. I never really had a specific idea of what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
just said I studied global business and management.
Okay.
So I envisioned myself in a company that is that serves internationally in a role where I would be managing across different cultures and
Yep.
people. But it was never really a specific role.
Okay. So now, how do you feel about your job now?
Wow. I feel amazing about the job that I have now because it feels so aligned with
Okay.
my values and it feels like the one that God chose for me. And the reason I say this is because when I first started my job search, I wanted to more so go into study abroad because I studied abroad myself
Okay.
my last semester of college, or to serve international students because I also identify as an international student in some realms. I thought that was the path to continue.
Yeah.
The Lord said, "No, ma'am, I have other plans for you." And He really changed the trajectory of my job search where
Yeah.
I started being like, Clauder, so what would you like to do outside of international education, so to say? And I thank him for putting his divine workers to really help me figure out what
Yeah.
that looked like. And the person specifically helping me figure this out said, Clauder, I'm hearing that you are one that is mission driven, you're very passionate. So I think a nonprofit would
Mm.
suit you. And I said,
Mm.
what? You think so? So I started thinking more about it. And he is the one that passed this job to me. And he said, hey, um, I see this really cool title for Chica Project. I think it really aligns with everything that you said. I think you should give it a shot. And now we're here.
Wow, wow, wow. No, it makes sense. So one thing I like about this story is that you keep your options open, right? And you be flexible and you took advice from what your friends told you. So what would be a piece of advice you'll have with to somebody who's starting their career right now?
Be patient. Um, I think that's the best advice that I could give. Sometimes we can be so caught up in a specific title or by a specific salary that looks so alluring, but in the end, you really have to think about the journey. And one specific quote that I remember about this devotional app that I have on my phone says, God will not put you in a space where He doesn't want you to experience something out of it.
Wow.
Be thinking about everything that you do as an experience and as a lesson that you need to get. My journey is not one that was easy. Um,
Amen.
the first job that I got was a very low salary. And thank God for that because I think it prepared me to be in a position where I am comfortable with not only my salary, but with the title and what I do. And it was a journey to there. And all I needed to be is patient. Just have to be patient to what God has in store for you because He does have so many wonderful plans.
Yes.
You have to sit still and let God.
Wow. And thank you for sharing once more. So let's switch to your first job. You said that was it. So when was okay? Because yesterday we had a guest. He was talking about when I said advice for piece of advice to young people starting the career is don't like value yourself. And we got to that conversation when we said yeah in Haiti, but our parents they don't allow us or they don't give us that tool to make sure when we negotiating our salary we do it the right way. I don't know if you can tap on that. If you have any experience you can share or advice.
Oh my. Woo. Yes, I cannot agree with this even more. My first job, I did not negotiate. I just looked at the salary and I'm like, well, this looks good.
That's
And
it.
months later, I'm like, wait, I really lowballed myself on that one. I
Yeah.
didn't ask for anything. So all to say is that patience, yes, but also your network.
Yeah.
You need to have a mentor. You need to have someone that can walk you through the process,
Yeah.
especially especially if you are a first generation and you don't know much about that. You don't have someone that has paved the way for you.
Yeah.
You are in need of a mentor, of someone that will be able to tell you, hmm, I would rephrase this differently. This is how I would go about it, and just give you their own advice so then you can kind of take it in and see how can you frame it and make it work for yourself. It's so important to negotiate and really understanding what value that you bring to any company that you step into. And that's something that I wish I had from the very beginning because it would have positioned me way better. But it's a journey. You live and you learn. And I'm in a position where I can give back everything that I wish I didn't have. So there are people that are willing to give back to you, believe it or not.
So who's the best who's the who's your okay, do you have any mentor right now?
Yes, I do. I always say this. I say that I am the product of continued mentorship.
Wow.
And the best, one of the best mentors that I've had is Mary. That was my old director at Simmons University.
Oh,
This lady
wow.
has taken me under her wings. She saw the little Haitian immigrant in me that needed a chance
Yeah.
to thrive, and she saw the potential and she took that with her and ran with it, and she's the one responsible for the many things that I've been able to accomplish because she's been able to push me and to say, Clauder, I invite you to think about this. What will the doors of opportunity look like for you when you step outside of Simmons? And thanks to her, I have my master's because she really pushed for me to get
Wow.
this.
That's great.
So she's been the best mentor. Until this day, I consider her not only a mentor, but a friend as well.
Wow, that's and you tap on multiple things when you said patience, right? Networking. So now you're talking about mentorship. So how do you combine all three?
How do you combine all three? That's a good question. um,
or do you go by one first and then go by the second? And because I think a mentor will kind of guide you to a couple opportunities or give you some advice. But I think patience is something you need to. It's a freedom you have to get within yourself, right?
I totally agree. I think these things, they fall into place naturally. This is not something that you can say, oh, I'm going to pick mentorship first, and then I'm going to choose to be patient, then grow my network. Um, I say go with what feels the best. Sometimes you can't really identify to a mentor right away, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Um, so really relying on what your strengths are and leveraging those in the meantime that you wait for the right mentor to come along.
Okay.
And in that meantime, I would say networking is your best bet because that's when you really get to speak with people, know what they do, to see if that is of interest for you,
Yeah.
and for them to share any pieces of advice that they have with you. So you take that with a grain of salt. And as my mentors say, I'm giving you a lot of things. So take what you need and leave the rest on the table.
Wow. Well said. Well said. So let's go with something kind of fun. What do you miss most in Haiti?
What do I miss most in Haiti? I would say Christmas. Oh
Um,
my God. I have not
really?
spent Christmas in Haiti in the past 13 years. Though I have gone to Haiti, I just haven't gone specifically for
Oh,
Christmas.
Christmas. Okay.
And I remember that being the best of times growing up, and I really miss that.
Hmm. About any fruit, any food? What's your favorite food?
My favorite food. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say it's Gia Jojo.
Ooh,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, J. Jojo. Yeah, no, that's a good food. So now, one thing I realize is people when they are getting to that path to start embracing the calling, there's a big challenge where you're mostly gonna be making decisions. Did you ever get to that road? You are making the decision not on your own, but primarily starting from you, but with advice of others.
Yes, that definitely did happen, and I would say more so to the path of the current role that I'm at
Yeah.
because I felt torn. God was leading me in one direction, and I'm like, but I really love international education. I
Yeah.
feel like I've always seen myself within that role of really being able to see more Black girls and Black boys be able to go study abroad because we don't have that much representation when it comes to studying abroad. And I
Yeah.
know how much that meant to me and what that can be for others. So I was always pushing for that. And to see myself step outside of that was something that I couldn't, it was not easy at first.
Okay.
When I had to make the decision, do I follow that or do I follow what the Lord has in store for me? And well, you can figure what happened
Yeah, I know definitely.
for me, but
No,
it was
definitely. So, what do people misunderstand most about you?
I would say my silence.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Um, as I was saying before, I'm one that is reserved. I like to be able to study a room before I speak or interact, and that can be misperceived as maybe I'm not engaged or maybe I don't want to be there. But it's just really me assessing the situation and knowing where to speak and where to take up space. And I need that assessment for myself first before I can fully open up.
I'm glad you said it because I feel like most Haitian are like that. Not everybody, but most Haitian are reserved. They scan the womb, and they
Mhm.
make sure what they're saying is important too.
Yes.
So and it's a cultural shock because most people, and I had that conversation with a friend. It's like if you don't brag, there will be some opportunity you'll be missing.
Right, yeah, definitely. I felt like that before.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think there's power in being silent.
I think so too. But I feel like the culture here, they want you to be outgoing. They want you to be out there. It's like a push yourself out. But they there's a saying say la force est calme, and you know some people don't understand it, and I value it a lot coming up, growing up. So let's talk about your parents. What do you think are the best gift to you
The best gift to me
from your parents?
and my parents, really their ability to have been able to support me all throughout this point. I think that's the best gift that they could have ever given me. Um, there's certain things that I didn't have to worry about because I've had my parents' support, and that is the biggest gift. I don't think that I could ask for any more of them.
Wow, well said. So one thing I realize is people when they get to their calling, they get comfortable, they settle. Do you think there's more calling coming up, more tasks, or more like your mission is updated, things you need to do more now after you just accomplish this, and then you need to go for more? Is there anything right now that's pushing you, or that's not, or that's it's not keeping you away, but it's always on your mind?
I think for now, the journey has just started. So I am taking everything in,
Yes.
really trying to understand how this fits into the larger picture. But I am sure that there will be more to come.
Yeah.
This definitely doesn't stop here. Your calling never really stops. I think your assignment change based on
Yes.
the season that you're in.
So, what are the most? Yeah, what is the most thing you are proud of you accomplished?
My master's, completing that, I think that's my one of my proudest accomplishment. Just knowing that this is something I initially went into higher education with the goal of completing, and that goal completely changed once I really connected with the fact that I needed to focus on my dancing career. And then the pandemic hit, and God said, "No, no way. You're going back and finishing that master's." And really having my mentor there, um, kind of speaking that to me and really encouraging me, giving me the space to do it, especially during the time of a pandemic. Working full time, that was not easy. But being able to see everything come together at the end makes me so proud because I know how far I came and what it took to be there.
Wow. No, thank you for sharing. So let's go to Chica Project. Can you
Yeah,
tell us about it, about this organization?
absolutely. So, Chica Project is a nonprofit organization catered to young women of color to really elevating, empowering them, and really growing into their identity and standing firm into what that is. So, I am very lucky to be the senior program manager at Chica Project. So, I will be in charge of programming, overseeing the fellows and the interns that services our youth, and being part of this organization. So far, this is just one weekend. I have never felt this much support and this much love, and just the room is filled with such diversity.
Yep.
Just being able to look around and see women that look like me is so powerful. And I am ready to hit the ground running in January, and I can't wait for all the wonderful things that I am to accomplish with that organization.
Wow. Wow. That's great. That's great. So now you're saying you guys working on you have an event you want to promote?
It's not an event, more so two opportunities that I would like to share with the platform.
Okay.
One is to become a mentor, and one thing that my mentor has shared with me is that as we climb, is it is our responsibility to lift others,
Yes.
and this is a great way for you to give back to your community and really share your expertise with a young woman of color. Um, and they can also pick your brain as well. So it'll be great for you to consider apply to be a mentor. The application deadline is on January 9th of 2022. So you do have time to think about this as a new year settle end. And the second opportunity is for the youth application, and it's to be part of Chica Project. And this is a program that I wish I had in Malden High School when I first started here, just to really settle into who I am, owning that, and really getting into a sisterhood, um, and learning different professional and personal skills that I need to navigate. So if you know any young woman from the ages of 11 to 18 that would like to be part of that, you think the project would be a benefit to, please feel free to pass along this application. It is also due on January 9th as well.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. So I think our listeners, so this is Chica Project with mentorship opportunity, mentorship for youth. You're gonna find a link in that in this podcast, and you can follow through until January 9, so you can apply. So we have Claudergine Aspilaire with us today. She's talking about her experience. She's talking about upbringing, the culture shock, and things she's learning as she's going her journey. So, what is the most lesson you have learned over your career now?
Over my career, I think again is to be patient.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want something so bad, but it's really not our timing, and we're not fit for that just yet. And we just
Mm.
have to wait a little for the opportunity to make sense to us. Um, we all have so many dreams and aspirations, but it's also important to know when the right timing is to go after these things. And patience goes a long way. I'm still learning,
No,
but that's
definitely.
the biggest journey, the biggest lesson for me.
No, definitely. So let's switch to hot topic. Are you ready for hot topic now?
Yes.
Hot topic with Claudine Aspilin. All right, this is Eddy Dacius with Divine Purpose Podcast. We have Claudergine Aspilaire with us today. So we have hot topic for Claudergine. So my question is, why you think education, so mostly Haitian, education is our primary option?
I think education is our primary option because that is what really connects us to our greater purpose. And the reason I say this is through my master's alone, I've been able to find like what my calling is and make sense of that, make sense of my passion. And I think that education brings you to different places that your mind alone won't be able to bring you unless you have that curiosity. And I think that's why it's so important for us as Haitian people to have education because it connects us with so many different things. It gives us a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we are called to do.
So second question, it's related to the earthquake, where Yes, after the earthquake, a lot of people, including myself, we left Haiti. We come here. Do you think your path would be the same without the earthquake?
Absolutely not. I think that the earthquake has everything to do with my path now. I certainly know that I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of all these opportunities that has been offered to me in the state if I was in Haiti.
Mm, wow. I think so too. So, next question: where do we go with um, women empowerment? So, do you think there's a balance, or one have to be on top of the other?
There's a balance. One doesn't have to be on top of the other. Is the balance easy to find? Absolutely not. It's challenging, but I think they go hand in hand and not to overpower each other.
Wow. Thank you. You did well. I don't think I even. Uh,
Thank you.
you did great. So, what are the three books you would recommend our audience?
Yes, I have three books that I would recommend, and the first one is Americana by Chimamanda, and When We Fight, We Win by Greg Jobin.
Okay.
Julia Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera.
Yeah. Wow. Three great books to our audience. So, is there a question you wish I asked you today?
Hmm. No, I think the conversation flowed so well. I think you've touched upon different points, and I don't think I have any questions that I wished for. Yeah.
All right. So, if you had a chance to invite five people, dead or alive, will you consider as influencers in your life? Who they will be?
Ooh. Wow. My list over over exceeds those five.
All right, go ahead. So you want to make it 10? Go ahead.
Definitely, I would say my parents
Yep.
because of the freedom that they've allowed us as children, as young adults, and even as adults. They are not the definition of your typical Haitian parents in the
Yeah.
sense that they've never really pushed me into one direction. They're like, oh, you need to be a doctor. They've always pushed me to go with
yeah.
my heart desired.
Yeah.
And same goes for my siblings as well. So definitely influences in my life. I would say my sister um, is another influencer in my life as well. She keeps me grounded for sure. My husband definitely is another influencer in my life. And my mentors. Um, can't list them all out, but it definitely over exceeds the five. I think they all play a role into um, the path where I am today. So definitely influencers in my life.
So I'm not trying to put it in a hot seat, but 5 years now, where do you see yourself?
5 years from now, where do I see myself? Um, would love to be able to run an art academy
Mm,
for young young women of color specifically to
okay.
explore their artistry, to know what this means to them, and to also be able to navigate the world with the means of their artistry in the sense of social justice and so on.
Wow. So if you had the power to change Haiti, what would be your wish for Haiti? With your wish, you have one wish to change
One
Haiti.
wish.
What would be that wish?
I would love for it to go back to the one that my parents knew. I
Wow.
would love to be able to experience that Haiti.
Why? Why? Can you
It's
tell our audience more?
I say that to um, all to say that I would love to be able to experience the safety that we all deserve,
Yes.
um, to explore the beauty with no veil.
Mm.
Because I think that a lot of things that are going on in Haiti are putting a veil on it. And I want to remove that veil and just see its true beauty. Because there's so many things going on, it's hard some at times to really see the beauty of my country. It's sad to say, but that would be my wish.
So as you know, we are Haitian. It's they usually see I'm Haitian, so I don't, I'm proud to be Haitian. But if you had a chance to talk to somebody who doesn't know Haiti, what would be your description of the country to that person?
What would be my description of the country to that person? Oh, that's a really good one. I feel like I need to think through it. Ah,
Did I get you there?
they definitely did because that has all my brain cells trying to fabricate a word. Um, I would definitely describe it as a country of resilient people,
Yeah.
um, a country of love as well, even though at times it's hard to see where that love is coming from.
Yeah.
But I would really say it in the sense of family. Um, this is where you really feel that love. Um, and country where you should definitely come to experience the rich culture because
Yes.
our our history is so rich and powerful, and our food is also delicious. So
Yes.
I
Yeah, I think
definitely
so. Yeah.
put that in the mix.
Yeah, I think that's about the food too. The food can say everything. So, and one thing I would like to close the podcast. So this is Eddy Dacius with Divine Purpose Podcast with Claudergine Aspilaire. Do you think so? Where were you when you got that news from the assassination of the Haitian president?
I was in bed with my husband, and a friend of ours called to let us know, and that left me in complete shock. I
Yeah,
could not believe my ears, and especially to know that the picture of the president was circulating on WhatsApp
yeah,
absolutely just left me distraught.
yeah. I think everybody was shocked. We never experienced something like that before, and that was a first. So, last word for you, Clauder.
Last word for me is you carry so much power within you, and it is your duty to always seek what that power is and to be able to stand true to yourself.
Wow, well said, well said. This is Eddy Dacius with Divine Perfect Podcast with our special guest, Claudergine Aspilaire. She's great. She gave us great advice. She talked about her career, her embracing her calling. Claudergine, thank you for being here with us with Divine Perfect Podcast. We appreciate you. Thank you. See you guys soon.
Thank you for having me.